Ladies and gentlemen, we're back with the Autumn Championship, Autumn 2018 Second Chance Tournament. Today is going to be a match between Conquerer999 and theonlybaus. This will be a part of the quarterfinals of the tournament.
Yes, indeed.
And the
Today,
winner will actually move on to face, I forget who it is. I think it's Chusik in the semifinals, as you're saying.
it is Chuzik. Hello and
Absolutely.
welcome, everybody. We're
Yep.
back.
My name is
And
Cometk, and co-casting that
my...
beautiful voice there will be Mr. Beautiful.
All right. So let's get into it. So we have a match now, with theonlybaus against Conqueror999, and we start on Manchuria, which is an interesting map. It has two varieties with the trading post. Let's see which one will we get. It also contains water, which might be interesting aspect in this game if one of the players decides to go for it. I would expect maybe the Russian player may go for it, since French doesn't have that really good of a water play compared to Russia. And here we are. We have two trading posts. This version, when you have two trading posts behind your base. So I guess this is pretty optimal for France, honestly, I think, because French on this matchup usually goes for the trading post. They want to H fast, because their units are so much better in H3 against Russia. Especially the skirmisher gun composition with the Falconets can be a deadly combination to the Russian player, because skirmishers can kite Russian skirmishers very easily.
Yep. So we're gonna see Conquer999 playing as the France in this first match, and the score is 0-0. My bad, I made a little mistake. But yeah, it's gonna be Conquer999 playing as the France in the teal color, spawning in the south of the map, and in the north we're gonna have theonlybaus playing as the Russia in the color red. While the Discovery Age kind of starts out, we do see a trade post coming down for Conquer999 to start off the match. But I'm actually going to go over the history of these players first. So, of course, Conquer999, otherwise known as Dictator, he's going to be taking, for one, he's known as the best treaty player of all time. So he's definitely a fearsome opponent. He's taking seed number 7 in the second chance tournament. He's a player from the USA, and he's actually PR35 Colonel. Like I said, due to that, and also a massive 1v1 ELO. He plays with the pros. I think he's played, like a few months ago, he played a best of 27 series with H2O. He did end up losing that match, I think, like 14-4. But even still, taking 4 games off of one of the legendary players of AoE3, he definitely shows his might, and he'll be, looking to take the
It's
whole
an
tournament.
accomplishment. It's
Absolutely.
indeed.
And, like I mentioned earlier, he's one of the best treaty players of all time. Basically, every single treaty tournament for the past 5 years is one that Dictator's won. And, however, like, with that said, translating that treaty skill to supremacy is something he has been successful with, but not always the most consistent. In the most recent tournament, the Autumn Championship 2018, he actually lost in the round of 32 to a betting upset. He lost against Tabin 3-1 and was not very happy with that. But at least in the second chance tournament so far, he's done a really nice job. In the last round, he defeated the second best treaty player, Lucas L99. He defeated him in a very clean sweep, 3-0. And yeah, so he's a fierce player, for all those reasons that I've mentioned.
So for the time being in H1, you may see Conqueror picking out some nice treasure like 65 coin here, and now he's picking up the construction team, which can build warhuts and stables. In this case, the French civilization cannot build warhuts, so the only possible building are the stables. And stables for free. I'd take that any day, especially against Russia, which is very well known for its not so good anti-cap. They don't have pikemen, and their musketeers are weaker, although cheaper. Russia overall as a civilization is known for its quantity, not quality. They train settlers in a batches of 3. It's the only civilization that can do that, and their barracks are basically outposts at the same time, which is kind of nice. And their units also do train in batches regarding the infantry. Well, luckily for them, they can train Cossacks from the stables and cavalry archers one by one if they want to, not in batches.
Yeah, so like you pointed out earlier, Dictator taking that stable wagon treasure, basically a 200 wood treasure, that's going to be really streamline his build order and give him so many options with what he wants to do in the colonial age. But the only boss not doing too bad for himself either, taking a lot of damage on his explorer, but he did pick up a 90 wood treasure and is sending some villagers, 3 villagers forward to build a mid-map blockhouse, going to establish some map control and maybe go for an aggressive build order himself. But I want to speak a little bit on the only boss as well. Actually,
it is definitely.
I'll do that in game 2 because we're about to head up to a very important stage of the match.
Yes. So I'm interested to see what these players have both in mind. I would expect some aggressive play from Russia, as it's very standard in this matchup to do so. Even the forward blockhouse can indicate something that there's going to be some aggressive play probably. Or maybe a bluff. I don't know for certain, but first shipment has been shipped. And if you see at his population graph, you can see that he ages. He shipped 5 Cossacks and queued 3 villages, so I expect 5 Cossacks as the first shipment of the Russian player. Meanwhile, the Conqueror999 is getting a use of his stable wagon, which is nice. Also, the thing about the stable wagon is that you can build it straight away. You don't need to even collect the wood for it. So you'll have your stable pretty fast, faster than usual, which can be sometimes crucial against Russian heavy rush, which can field sometimes. And we can see the 5 Cossacks that I've been talking about. 4 CDBs coming from the French player, and I hope that Conqueror999 is going to pop out some Hussars soon. Yeah, he's just being idle now by these Cossacks.
He has 2 Hussars in queue right now, but not enough resources to queue any more than that. He's putting some fills back on food, back on coin. Maybe going to be able to get out a 3 Huss batch. Not quite getting out 2 Hussars. That's not going to do very well against what the only boss has in store for him.
Although, on the other side of the note, he's been very greedy in this regard. He's building a second TP. He also lost a villager. It's not definitely the best start for Conqueror999, but I don't think it's the end of the road for him. He now ships 700 wood. All right. It's a pretty standard build so far. And I can pretty much say that he's probably going for the stagecoach. Maybe he's trying to take a use of these TPs early on. The earlier, the better. They are basically, if you recalculate it, even though it doesn't show up on the graph, 1 stagecoach TP is equivalent to 4 villagers. And one thing about these villagers in these trading posts are they are not idle. They are not like regular villagers that can get idled very easily. So I would say they are like 5 villagers to some point if you count the idle time. Anyways, we have another wave of push coming from theonlybaus. And he's looking to be pretty aggressive in this game. He's trying to do most of the damage in Conqueror's base, which is understandable, and tries to idle him. Maybe he sees something like, all right, the Conqueror is trying to go H3, and maybe he actually does. He ships 700 coin. Now it depends. He has a barracks as well. Maybe he wants to do some Musketeer Hussar agenda against Russia, which is definitely possible in H2. If you hit a certain timing, you can do that.
Yeah, you know, despite the only boss's early aggression, if you take a look at what actually happened, the only boss only lost 5 Cossacks, and Conqueror999 hasn't lost anything yet. He still has 4 Hussars. The 4 Hussars that he trained hasn't lost a single one. Did lose 1 courier, but basically for the trade of 5 Cossacks, he's lost a bit of villager gathering time, which isn't the worst thing in the world. It's not like he lost any of his military so far, so he feels probably pretty comfortable just going straight up to age 3, especially having the barracks, having the stable. He's got a defensible based position. You know, he still has the Minutemen that he's able to call.
Yeah, he's also eating the cows, so he's making sure that he goes to H3 soon as possible before the Russia can field any significant force. The Russia in its H2 is kind of, they are a bit slow. They don't have villager shipments, They can only ship crates, which gives them some temporary tempo. But the longer the game goes on, the Russian villagers overall train faster. You get 3 villagers in 50 seconds, and I think the regular villagers, like if you train them one by one, take 25 or 30. I'm not so sure. But in the end, the Russia gets the best trade in regards to that. They are only slower earlier on.
Yeah,
But the
absolutely.
thing is, France is going A3. And it's up to theonlybaus what he decides to do in this regard. Will he stop the Falconet push with the skirmisher dragoons? Let's see.
Yeah, certainly. And like you said, the Russian player are going to be ahead on economy just as villagers train faster. But we can actually see right now, even still, like theonlybaus is actually ahead in economy. He's also got 2 TP Stagecoach to Conqueror999. He has 2 TPs as well, but not Stagecoach upgraded. Um,
I
committing to the colonial play, as you're saying.
Yeah, he is. He's definitely committing little colonial play so far. Actually, as you mentioned, these 2 TP stagecoach, I really liked it. On the other side, we do not see a stagecoach, which kind of surprises me. I thought the Conqueror999 is going for these 2 early training posts, so he can get more resources out of them in regards to stagecoach, but he didn't do that so far.
So Conqueror999's first shipment in the Fortress Age is going to be 5 dragoons. I actually don't think that was that good here, especially his
It's
Minutemen call there. It's a safe play, undoubtedly,
Yeah,
but given what he saw come out from theonlybaus, it was a pure musketeer mess, and we know. I mean, we as the
yeah.
observers know that there's no stable. There's a stable being built right now, but there wasn't previously, so there weren't any more Cossacks coming for theonlybaus. I think with a bit of better scouting, Conqueror999 would have been able to tell that and maybe ship 8 skirmishers instead, and maybe get like at least a few more shots off on those musketeers, and maybe be able to prod in a little bit too. But regardless,
All
with
right.
those 2 TPs, it's kind of negligible. The 8 skirmisher shipment coming out right now, and I think Conqueror999's in an okay spot.
One thing I wanted to point out that only Baus is now H3 basically. So this is actually interesting. The French player hasn't managed to ship 2 Falconets yet. The 5 Dragoons, as you've mentioned, that the choice of them shipping them, I think it's understandable. Conqueror 999 probably expected some heavy Cossack push once upon the age up, but in regards to that, the Onibals decided to actually age himself, and I think he's in the position to call in the 2 Falconet shipment in order to defend against the 2 Falconet shipment of France. Now it comes out to the person, most likely, who handles the Falconet micro the best. I think Conqueror 999, in regards to Falconet fights and basically any other artillery fight, is in the upper hand. In a way, the 3D players do like to micro their cannons a lot, and they are especially very good at it. So I think Conqueror is comfortable with Falconet fights, but let's see, we can be surprised.
Theonlybaus, it looks like he's gonna be able to defend that blockhouse, but he still has unupgraded units. Even still, this Russian military mass is gonna be able to challenge back Conqueror999's units, not having really quite the skirmisher numbers in order to prod as he'd like. So just kind of kiting back, still doing a good amount of damage. Utilizing his superior range of his skirmishers, although here a little bit maybe caught by the lag, but he's gonna have to be very careful. I think he might even be trying to do the pull trick where he he groups his he does a drag box with his dragoons, pulls the dragoons back, and it kind of makes the skirmishers sort of sprint backwards. Not doing that right now, but we might see it a little bit later.
Coming from theonlybaus, I guess he wanted to contest the goons, but now there's this problem, the Falconets. How is he gonna deal with that? I don't think he has enough firepower to contest the Falconets, and look at this volley. Wow, a lot of units that die there.
That was an insane one.
Yeah, now theonlybaus has a shipment available. I suppose he's going for the 2 Falconet shipment, because I don't really know how else he would deal with these Falconets. I guess maybe he would try to do a cavalry flank, but in case that Conqueror 999 doesn't pay too much attention on his Falconets, but I wouldn't count on that personally. I think the 2 Falconet shipment as a response would be the best response here possible. Let's see. Oh well, we got a little cheeky raid over here. Meanwhile, the Conqueror999 is pushing the base, but he instead decides to fight with the Coeur de Bar. And he's getting the blunderbuss upgrade, because the cavalry archers are not so good for killing the villagers, especially the Coeur de Bar, which is 0.40 range resist, so basically 40% of DPS that the cavalry archer has. Even the cavalry archers have negative 0.5, so it's very little damage they do. 6 Cossacks from the theonlybaus. That's interesting. I'm not kind of sure he would be able to hold this. You also need to keep in mind that the Conqueror999 is massing up more units as the time goes. So,
ooh, this
oh wow,
like
look
the
at
timing
this.
for the Theonlybaus. Gonna get those Cossacks
He didn't pay much.
Those, Falconets.
He didn't pay much attention there. The Cossacks have been able to kill a Falconet, and the cavalry archers snipe off the rest. This is actually pretty big, I think. The Falconet shipment of Conqueror999 has been wasted, and now the theonlybaus has another shipment in. So he can ship 2 Falconets of his own without a fear that he will be countered by Falconets. And he has enough of units to tank, I guess, for the time being, and there are more Cossacks coming in from the stable. The Russian player is not in so bad spot at all, if you think about it right now.
Yeah, he's even ahead on score, and he still has the opportunity to send 2 Falconets of his own.
And still this, no stagecoach. Kind of don't like it in this regard. Russian player is gonna outboom the French player now. The longer the game goes, the worse for the French player it will be. Since Russian anti-cat, the cavalry archers are not so terrible, they are actually pretty good to deal with curse if you have enough of them. They also have 30% resistance to hand attack combat. Wow, look at this. There's an engagement going on. The Courtier from the Conqueror999 coming in, but I don't think they're in the greatest position at all. The cavalry archers can definitely get a good position over here, if I recall correctly. But yeah, those Cossacks did melt to those dragoons. I think it was still a good trade. I think it was still a good trade for Russian player, because Russia is just very well known for the ability to mass their units. The amount of quantity of units the Russian can field is just insane sometimes.
Yeah, I think that trade went about even, but I think a Conqueror999 is still pretty happy with that. He didn't get absolutely crushed by that Cossack mass that was kind of impending, kind of threatening his skirmishers. So he's okay with that. The theonlybaus did send 6 Opries, but Conqueror999 doing a very nice job of catching that. And if Conqueror is really keen, he might know that there are some red villagers over on this side. This is going to be the next hunting location for the theonlybaus, and it's a little bit exposed.
I think we also forget about the 6 Oprichnik shipment. He's been trying to raid with Oprichniks, but the Conqueror999 did a very good job at catching the dragoons. Also, like some of the players like to do, that they send all their dragoons for these Oprichniks or something like that. It would be very, very decisive then. In this battle we have seen before, the Cossacks would have just crushed the skirmishes there. So Conqueror did a really good job at catching these Oprichniks. Let's see the villagers lost. The Conqueror999 has lost 2 CDVs so far. So I guess the Oprichniks got one. But still a very good trade, I would say, for 6 Oprichniks.
You also have to keep in mind that one of the vills was one where that Conqueror lost at like maybe the 7-minute mark or 6. So those Opries really didn't accomplish a lot. I don't even think they displaced any villagers off of resources.
Yeah, and now Conqueror999 got a stagecoach, which is nice to see, even though it's kind of late. And these Courtiers right now, which we kind of missed. They've got a pretty nice spot on the Strouds over here. There are more Courtiers coming in. Let's see if they can... These cavalry archers are tanky, but I think Conqueror999 has the upper position because he can snipe at the skirmishes.
Yeah, so while Conqueror999 is trying to focus fire down all these cavalry archers, the only boss is using making good use of his strelets to focus down all of the dragoons. And even still,
Yeah,
there's
you
still
can
two
see.
full HP cuirassiers, and they're getting a massive damage on these strelets, putting in so much work. It looks like the
Yeah,
entire mass of the only boss is gonna just get ripped apart here. He did get
the
decent value
Streltsy
even
are
still, but
getting mushed by the cuirassiers. But overall, if you look at this, the Conqueror 999 doesn't have that many units right now in the field. Oh wow, there's a reinforcement. Okay, never mind. He can definitely take this blockhouse right now. And also, Conqueror 999 is mixing some water. I think it's a good decision because the fact that he soaks up some of the wood, he can put some use to it into building up more economy.
yeah, it is a really nice
Oh
play, but
wow.
just looking at this battle, you can see the villagers are fighting. You know, there's no hunts nearby. There's pretty much no hunts left on the map at all. So the best thing these villagers can do, it doesn't really matter if they die because they're not really going to be gathering the resources that the only boss needs. So using
Yeah,
them to sponge some damage, well, as well get some damage off. That's gonna
this was
help the only boss
actually,
stabilize a lot. And even like
yeah,
this mine from Conqueror
this was
999 is quite
actually,
exposed.
yeah, definitely. I kind of like this. He managed to hold, he managed to stabilize, and now he's mostly on wood. What I would like to see is to add docks himself. And maybe we can see some sort of water play over here as well, taking use of it. So maybe we can see some land and sea at the same time, which would be really interesting to watch.
Yeah, especially. I think if the only boss leaves Conqueror 999 to take the sea uncontested, it's definitely going to fall out of his favor. I think Russia in general kind of have an easier time transitioning to mills than France does, but you can see Conqueror 999 he's taken the last hunt here. He has some good map control around that with the outpost. Um, so he has some good line of sight around the map, but even still, like, what is the only boss gonna do when he's out of food now? Especially this killer position for Conqueror 999, gonna take down all of these strelets.
Yes, these Streltsy are just a paper against cuirassiers. They are they are dying so fast, especially because of the high DPS output and the fact that the cuirassiers have basically area damage output, something like trample. And we can see that the only boss is being pushed out of resources. He's been trying to build mills instead, and he's just running out of steam over here. He's losing the map. Now there are more villagers in this blockhouse. I don't know what he can do, honestly, at this point. It's gonna be very tough for the only boss to get back into this game, I feel.
Yeah, I really think,
And
you pointed it out earlier, but I think that early transition, or the earlier transition to water for Conqueror 999 is what's kind of keeping him afloat here.
yeah, also we need to not forget about this hunt. The Conqueror 999 has still this. What does the Russian player have? He's transitioning to mills, and that's very expensive thing to do so. And he's doing it at a time which is not so good for him to do so because he has no military.
Some more villagers getting picked off. That was a very nice split by Conqueror. And yeah,
Yeah,
for
very
a
nice
lot of the
mine.
game, like the only boss was ahead on economy with his having Stagecoach upgraded first, but it seems it's swinging out of his favor. Conqueror 999 basically having a 3 TC boom with those two docks, as well just giving himself access to so much more of the food with these plentiful fish, as well a town center coming up. He's ahead on map. Ooh, wow! Look at those 7 Cossacks coming out.
They are. It's a decent build, but I don't think it's gonna be really enough in a way. Or maybe those Chelsea can get a good trade because the remaining skirmisher mass is just the Russians have more units here. But as you see, these Cossacks get easily sniped off by the dragoons. And the thing that the Conqueror 999 might do is just to escape and garrison some units to the fishing boats and then just deploy them over back here. But he doesn't even need to do that because, well, the Onobels didn't have enough firepower to just to pursue Conqueror 999 in this regard.
Yeah, I definitely think that
As
was
you can see,
a really nice engagement that kind of helped stabilize the only boss. But even still, like winning these small engagements isn't going to do him a lot if he isn't getting ahead on economy or trying to match what Conqueror999 is doing. And I don't think he's at
yeah,
all going to go for the water game plan. If he were going to build docks, he would have built them sooner. And I think not utilizing the sea to his advantage is pretty much what it's a decision that's going to lose him the game. I think he did a really good job of there were points in the Fortress Age where I think the only boss might have had this locked down, but just not scaling it properly, and Conqueror999 doing a good job to keep himself stable and utilizing this C to his advantage. He's going to push out the victory soon here, unless the only
we
boss
have an
gets something
open.
big.
The only boss, I guess, he's got something in mind that he's playing for time, and he tries to boom. He tries to boom behind. He just needs more time. Although I don't think he knows about the sea. Well, maybe now he does because there's a frigate shooting at his mill. But yeah, he tries to play for time, but I don't really know if it's the best idea. But I guess he doesn't have a choice in this regard because he cannot really go like try to do all-in aggression with the resources he has. He now finished his mill production. He's on 2 town centers production, and now it starts to pay off a bit.
Other
He's
4
trying to
accomplishments.
operate.
Yeah, but gonna get caught.
They're gonna get caught. And basically, the resources here he could have spent somewhere else are getting deleted. He could have spent these resources on regular units and tried to push Conqueror999. Instead, he didn't really get too many villagers. Actually, he got 9 in total, but still, he's still losing a lot of resources with this. He's not really gonna damage Conqueror999 unless he finds like 20 wells or like on some mine or something. That's not gonna happen. Also, the sea is not being contested, and you cannot just ignore the sea like this unless you have a huge advantage on land. The Stroud Seas are now getting trapped by the frigate, so the frigate takes even more shots and even more resources, just flying off to the sky. And the Cuirassier is about to put the nail in the coffin here.
Yeah, absolutely.
He
With
lost
that,
all his, yeah, he lost all his Strouds.
as you were saying, pretty much the only boss having no more military population on the map. He has a decent amount of coin, but not enough food to translate that into useful units. And looking at the score difference, yeah, seems like that's it.
He calls the GG.
But
I guess he realized that there's nothing else he could do. Overall, now he's trying to add docks, but it's too late if you see. But it was too late because Conqueror999 has just too much of a control over the sea. It would be just not possible. Maybe if he would have popped like train 2 frigates or 1 frigate and ship 1, and but let me see if he even has them in deck. He does not. So he would have to train 2 frigates or try to contest something. That didn't happen.
yeah, even with that
Anyway,
said,
interesting game. So
yeah, I thought that was a great game. Conquer gonna take the early lead, but I think the only boss really showed his stuff. That was really close for most of the match.
yeah, I agree. It was definitely it wasn't one-sided game. It was close until the point until some battles did happen. And I think the only boss, if he should Falcon at Smart Illyria and try to push France before the docks, and when France was running low on resources, I think he would have shot at winning. The only thing he really needed were the Falconets, which he never did ship. I
Yeah,
don't know why, but maybe.
that's huge. He never shipped those Falconets, and I think they were just necessary for the push that he kind of wanted. But even still, let's move on. I think the next map, I'm not too sure. So this was Manchuria. I think the next map might be Tibet, if I'm not mistaken. It's actually going to be Gran Chaco.
All right, so we got a game on Gran Chaco, and Conqueror999 is being forced to pick the first civilization. And I'm interested on what's he going to pick. I think one of the good picks on this map would be India, for example, or even Russia, which he...
Yep, so Conquer actually locked Russia, just as you said. Quite a strong
Yeah,
civilization on this map.
yeah, I think Russia is a decent civilization on this map because, well, Russia doesn't really necessarily need trading posts themselves. It's useful, but it's not a necessity. Meanwhile, the other states that perform very well against Russia, the European cities most of the time, usually need a trading post. But we might not see even a European civ from the only boss. He might pick civs like India, which are very decent on this map as well because of the livestock. And overall, India doesn't necessarily need the TP as well, and their units are very strong. They have the skirmisher dragoon composition in H2, which makes them a very good civilization against Russia because Russia overall struggles a lot against massive skirmisher dragoon compositions.
So I
or maybe Dutch from the only boss.
Yeah, precisely. You know, Dutch is another good civilization on this map. They're kind of agnostic, don't really need trade posts to work out their game strategy. Similar to Russia, British, India, all of those civs are kind of good picks on this map.
Yeah, I guess they are, although I am not sure about Dutch, how Dutch does perform against Russia. I think they can do fine in the end, but I think they really need to age up Skirmish Dragoon again. I think it's a bit too hard to break Russia in an H2 with a civilization that doesn't have musketeers. But we may see. The massive Cossack max from if it goes to H2 game, the Cossacks are really easily massable. And when they get boyars with the Streltsys and the musketeers from Russia, I don't know, that usually struggles.
Yep, so this will be game 3 of this best of 5 series between Conqueror999 and the Only Boss as a part of the Autumn 2018 Second Chance Tournament. It is the quarterfinals stage, and the winner will move on to the semifinals against Chusik. So of course we're going to have Conqueror999 playing as the Russia. This was his locked civilization he chose first. He's going to be playing in the teal color in the south. Beauty if you want to check the hunts. And in the north of the map, we're going to have the Only Boss playing as the Dutch in the color red. This was his counter pick. And I actually want to talk a little bit about the Only Boss because I don't think a lot of players know him. Pretty much everybody should be familiar with Conqueror999 by now, but not a lot of people have, you know, gotten the opportunity to hear or see the Only Boss play. And with that said, you know, he doesn't actually have that much in the way of past tournament results. But you know, while it's unknown, you know, kind of where he's from, it makes him a kind of an ominous dark horse. So here's what we do know. So he's a Pure 31 Major, so he's a few levels below Conqueror, and he has a 2300 max 1v1 ELO, which is pretty respectable. Not quite to Conqueror999 standard, but still pretty good. He's a Nilla player. He primarily plays on Nilla, you know, the base level of the game with just the 8 European civilizations. And his mains are British, French, and Russia. Russia we saw in Game 1. Dutch is another flex civilization of his, not quite his main, but something he's reasonably well versed in.
I guess he's comfortable in this matchup. So that's probably the reason why he picked it. Maybe the British would have been a nice choice, but on the other hand, the map doesn't have that many hunts.
Yeah, so I think Dutch are a reasonable choice on this map. But yeah, like I said, you know, not having much in the way of past tournament results, he has absolutely slaughtered his competition so far in this second chance tournament. I think in the round of 64, he went up against Black Duck and won 2-0. And then in the round of 32, he played against Hora de Aventura and also won that match 2-0. And that's somebody who's ranked like PR33 Lieutenant Colonel. He's a very, very strong player. And then in the round of 16, he also defeated Yokpasa 3-1. And Yokpasa was the person who occupied the number 2 seed of the tournament. You know, Conqueror999 is just seed number 7. So this guy, you know, he's coming out of the blue. He defeated the number 2 seed. And as we saw in game 1, I think he played pretty well. So this should be a close series.
Yeah.
But yeah, moving on. Anything exciting happen so far with the treasures? I see 100 food for Dick for Conqueror999 and 100 XP for the only boss. So considering Conqueror999 is playing as the Russia, I think that food is going to be massive. It's going to allow him to go up with the 14 villager age up and have that, you know, just be able to queue up to the discovery age, the colonial age with less idle time. You know, usually Russia, they'll be at like 680 food instead of 800. They need to age up. But that 100 food gonna make sure he ages up sooner.
Although he's clicking up at 3 minutes, which is the standard time anyway. I guess he had a bit of an idle time, or there was some bit of mistake, but I think he should have aged a bit earlier this week. Not so quite sure. But back to the game, he's sending a 3 villagers forward, so I guess, again, it indicates probably some kind of aggressive play that we can expect from Conqueror999. The interesting thing is that with these 3 villagers, he might be able to steal a hunt, which could be essential.
Yeah, that hunt right there is constituting Conqueror999's his 3rd hunt, actually. And being able to put a forward blockhouse on that is going to establish very influential control for Conqueror999. Also, this Guanaco herd is kind of just walking away from where the only boss wants it to be. You know, Dutch not a very food-heavy civilization, so the hunts don't have as much impact as they might for, like, say, Russia or British, which are very, very food-heavy civilizations. But losing that 3rd hunt is not something that he's going to like.
Alright, so we have a bank, the first bank, one of the standard builds of Dutch, build a bank in transition, or in the early colonial age. Now he's gonna collect this wood, and now we're gonna see what he wants to start with. Maybe he wants to build another bank, but I don't think that would be a good idea. I think he should definitely put some military building first, because the Russia, he's probably gonna go very aggressive, and he needs some units to defend his base with and to defend his economy. So let's see what he ships first as his first shipment in H2. Meanwhile, the Conqueror999 is probably shipping Cossacks and maybe training 10 Streltsy. Maybe we can see a Strelet Cossack push, which could be interesting.
Certainly. I'd like to see a stable come out for the only boss here soon. I think a stable is a little bit better than a barracks starting out against Russia, just because, you know, if you're able to pop out a batch of 5 hussars, that's 10 military population. Whereas a batch of units from the barracks is just 5 unit population. And against the early Russian pressure, you really need as much as you can against that.
Alright, the Conqueror999 has started with 5 musketeers and 5 Cossack, so he probably expects a cavalry opening. It's even the 5 musketeers, 5 Cossack are definitely a fine choice. It's always fine to start with this, the standard opening. Sometimes it's better to start the Streltsies, but it's still fine if the opponent opens with barracks, but it's still fine to start with musketeers either way. Did we have seen any military building so far from the only boss?
Not yet. We did see a sneak bank in the back as well as a 3rd bank going up right now. He only has 300 wood left in his bank.
In this case, he probably ships a colonial militia. Yeah, he did ship that right now. So he probably wants to get to H3 via the naked way. Don't train any units at all. And then, although this bank is in danger right now, he needs to build it up, or it's gonna go down and these resources are gonna be wasted. He should send some of his bulls there at least. The Cossacks are now being smushed by the colonial militia TC fire, but look at this. Almost half of the HP of the bank has been going down. So if the only boss doesn't repair it, might go down kind of fast, which is not pleasant for a Dutch player to lose a bank like this, especially early on in the game. Now the Conqueror999 is adding a stable with a 700 wood shipment and a second blockhouse. So he wants to build a defensive position, maybe, in case the Dutch player wants to push out. What I would like to see is that this explorer was capable of killing a Cossack. If he did pay attention, he would definitely kill one Cossack in case the Conqueror999 wouldn't have pulled it out. But that's a small thing, but still would be nice to see.
Yeah, so I still think, the hunt situation for the only boss is kind of dire. He is distributing to age up, like you said, going for just the naked FF, not a single military unit production facility. He is doing a really nice job of hurting in this third hunt for him, but with so many of the dead Guanaco just sitting on the floor, rotting in exposed positions in the front of his base, it's still going to be a struggle for him. He's putting up the stable now, and he's going to be going up to Fortress Age very soon. Got to be careful not to lose some villagers to raids. Gonna lose at least one, but maybe being able to save the second. Gonna be close.
He's gonna save it for sure. He sniped the low HP Cossack with his town center, so he didn't put that much damage in the end. And 3 Cossacks, or actually 2 Cossacks, sorry, for 1 villager. Yeah, it's a reasonable trade.
Yeah, not the worst thing in the world.
Now there's a stable. And another stable coming out from the only boss. So I guess he wants to go really calorie heavy. He probably doesn't expect Conqueror999 to age up anytime soon. We will see. But let's see the units in queue. And Conqueror999, maybe he either goes H2 or he ages up into 700 coin. It depends. He could definitely age, but then we need to take account the shipments. There's a no trading post, and trading post is always good for the XP income in order to get shipments. But looking at his units in queue, he's trading more units, so he's probably staying H2.
I like what Conqueror999 is doing with one of his low HP Cossacks as well as his Explorer. So he doesn't need to really aggress right now. He knows that the only boss is on a low HP situation. And I'm not sure if Conqueror999 is planning to go up himself or just mass. It seems like he's on the mass plan, so he's going to commit to age 2. But of course, just using some of this idle time to just scout out the rest of the map, see where a decent treasure might be, and see what he can do from there while he's not really necessarily pressuring the only boss's base, because I guess he doesn't feel the need to.
Yes, I guess he knows that the colonial militia is being in play, and that to push, maybe he thinks it's premature to push with small units into his base. And maybe he just tries to mass a lot and then tries to do some sort of timing. Now the one Cossack is being sniped, low HP one. And the warriors are coming in. So yeah, we may definitely see a timing. The larger of mass the Conqueror999 of Streltsies and Cossacks has, the more the card is stronger, basically. So we shall see how the timing push will go. Meanwhile, 1k wood from the only boss. This is a really greedy build so far. As you can see on the shipments being sent by the only boss. 700 wood colonial militia, 600 wood, and 1000 wood. That's actually a very greedy build from the Dutch player.
Yeah, but he's not under any pressure. He hasn't seen any pressure from the Teal player, the Russia player, for like maybe 3 or 4 minutes now. So I think it's kind of reasonable that he went with something greedy here. He did suffer some damage, and as well his hunt situation is not looking the best. So by going greedy, taking the opportunity that he needs, as well doing a nice job keeping Conqueror999 occupied with those raids in the back. Oh, gonna get caught a little bit.
The whole Russian army is now going back to base just for these 10 writers. And now more writers grouping up. These Cossacks are gonna go down if he doesn't really pull them back. Or he's trying to catch them. He's trying to catch them and have a flank. This is another story.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen maybe like 5 Reuters die so far, but so much of the Cossack mass. That's really going to imbalance Conqueror999's military composition. Basically
Even
losing...
though he got caught, even though he lost some writers, he killed quite a lot of Cossacks. I don't think it was the best trade for Conqueror999. He's killing even now more Cossacks in exchange for writers, but I guess the Dutch player with his greedy build can remass so fast, and with 2 stables, it doesn't really matter that much. This trade overall, I think it's been better for Conqueror999.
Yeah,
for the only boss. 20
was...
Cossacks for 15 writers.
That was exactly the trade that the only boss wanted. You know, with that, he's also got some more Reuters in his base. Like, that just bought him so much time with which to... It just justified that 1,000 wood shipment so much. That was a really nice pickup for the only boss.
And with the Conqueror999 having his Cossacks kind of killed, and the only boss capability in order to remass with his really good economy, and he's having attack advantage, he's now switching to the Hussars, which is interesting, considering the fact that the Conqueror999 is going for the Cossack Streltsy composition, and overall, Reiter and Cavalry, especially when upgraded, are just killers to Russia, H2.
Yeah, if the only boss is able to get a nice timing where he can get the Hussars on the Cossacks and the Reuters on the Cossacks as well, he's going to be able to take... Oh my goodness! Look at that mass!
He can definitely take this.
Yeah, I think with that many Hussars, it's go time.
These Streltsies are getting out of position, and the only boss is reacting now. If these Streltsies get caught, it could be pretty much game over. Now look at this. The Conqueror999 is trying to snipe the Reiters, but as those 20 Cossacks died, there are not so many Cossacks on the field, and only 10 Musketeers, which are Russian as well. They're not so very strong. This cavalry is gonna smush the Russian army.
Yeah, there's basically no anti-cavalry left. All the Cossacks dead, just relying on 10 Musketeers and whatever reinforcing batches Conqueror has left. But this is a perfect timing push for the only boss. This is his best window with which to seal out the game for himself. I don't think he really needs to go back there. I think he can just engage with the Hussars as he's doing now, you know, probably just taking them back to get a little bit better of a position. But so many Hussars still left alive.
This is the kind of the best trade and the best engagement the only boss has been hoping for. Could be hoping for, especially on an open field, not between the blockhouses and the military production facilities and the outposts at the same time. Now the Musketeers are coming in, but they are coming when the Streltsies are dead. And the Russians are really losing now at this point. You can see at the score difference that the red player is almost double the score. It's really big right now.
Yeah, still Conqueror999 picking off some villagers here with a stray batch of 10 Strelets. I think they were able to kill 3 villagers, but get close to 4.
He could only send like 2 or 3 Hussars to deal with that. Now the 4 Cossacks coming for Conqueror999, and at the same time, the only boss that ships 7 Reiter is a perfect counter to that. So. With the Russian player losing the map control slowly, the more of the window the Dutch player has. Now another shipment for the only boss is ready. He doesn't have the 1,000 coin in his deck, which I would like to maybe see next. Or maybe he just plans on ships on 8 skirmishers just to secure like a more of an army for the initial push. He eventually needs to break these blockhouses, the Russian base. And meanwhile he's preparing, he's using these Reiters in order to raid and disturb Russian economy, to postpone the military production much as he can. Now these Cossacks are gonna be trapped, are gonna be caught. Cavalry combat coming for the only boss. Wow. These Hussars gonna be so good. You can check the stats. Now I would really like to see the only boss adding more hussars into the field. And maybe ships 8 skirmishers next in order to snipe the musketeers in process.
Yeah, instead of going back and, just kind of getting his bearings together again, I'd just like to see the only boss, just right-click where the hunts are. He has much superior mobility with these 6.75 speed hussars, 7.25 speed riders. He can just keep Conquer on the back foot.
He's just playing the... Yeah, basically right now the Dutch player is decides the course of the game. He decides the engagements, the mobility he has, the amount of mobility. Although these villagers are very exposed and they might get caught. And now the Russian army is exposed as well in the base of the only boss, and they are gonna get shredded.
Yeah,
what happened? Oh.
Is it all good?
Rest in peace. Yeah, I dropped.
Oh no. I think you'll be alright. I can still hear you here. So you might just come back. Did your game crash or something?
Yeah, my game crashed. Damn it. Alright.
That's alright. I'll take over solo casting for this match. For this game.
Yeah, sorry.
Don't worry.
Sometimes it happens as well.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, the only boss with these really exposed villagers, he's actually behind on economy at this point, sitting at 44 to 50 of the Conqueror999. He's getting a really nice engagement on these Russian military units, pretty much going to melt all of them, as was said earlier. But I don't think he's going to be in that great a position. Should he lose all these villagers, he's not going to have any more food out on the map besides the 2 berries left in his base. This trade just so dominatingly going for the only boss. That was like 70 or 80 Russian units. But you have to keep in mind, the only boss needs to push out. He needs to put Conqueror999 on the back foot. He needs to make something happen. And I don't think Conqueror999 is totally down for the count yet. Oh, I was completely wrong. Conqueror999, instead feeling that was about the best he could do in calling game there. And yeah, that'll be game 2 going to the only boss, tying the score up 1-1 before we move on to game 3. Just take a look at the graphs. But I think a lot of this was because Conqueror999, he put a bit of pressure on the only boss, and I think the only boss was in a very exposed position in early colonial age. But Conqueror999 instead kind of choosing to slow roll it, just get his economy up. But, his economy is nowhere near what the Dutch can do with their banks. And so when the only boss was able to get up to Fortress Age completely uncontested, he had so many units in his base, he had so much just free gathering time, and time to send even 1,000 wood, a really greedy shipment, and he completely got away with it because Conqueror999 got sidetracked by a Rider raid. And yeah, another engagement, there was a huge pop of hussars out for the only boss, and an engage, a really, really fatal engagement where the Strelets got caught out around a lake and got surrounded by hussars. Conqueror999 not having any anti-cavalry with which to just kill all the hussars and defend his Strelets, and the Reuter mass anyway would have killed whatever anti-cav that Conqueror could field. That was a really nice game from the only boss. Some fatal mistakes for Conqueror. I don't think he played it as well. I think he still had a good shot at winning it if he just played it a little bit differently, but that's the breaks, and we're going to see this series tied up as we move on to game 3. Will be on high plains, and the only boss will lock first.
Alright, so I'm back. Sorry for the inconvenience.
Don't worry about it. Oh, it happens.
Sometimes it just happens, yeah. It's pretty annoying, but especially in a tournament game. But at least I only co-casted, so...
Yeah, and especially considering there was only like 75 seconds left to that game. That was like the best time to drop if it were going to happen.
Yeah, well, I wanted to see the graphs, but I guess I just rewatch the stream later. Anyways, we have the game number 2. The only boss is now picking French on High Plains. This is a very interesting map. 5 TPs. Civilizations like Spain, Portugal. There we have it, Portugal. And the Ottomans are very viable on this map.
Conquerer999 being a very having a very diverse civ pool, so I definitely think you can put up some strong Portuguese up here, despite them actually going with the India.
Oh wow. So I guess maybe we might see something like the Conqueror999 is going to put some pressure or early on with the aggro fort, or maybe he tries to go Kardimata and go greedy and go to H3. I think this is viable.
Yep, and so we'll be going on to Game 3 as part of a best-of-5 series between theonlybaus and Conqueror999. Currently, the score is completely tied, and theonlybaus won the last match with his Dutch against Conqueror999's Russia. We're going into Game 3. Like I said, it's going to be on High Plains. Not sure if it's on the north or the south of the map yet, but we'll have Conqueror999 playing as the India. He'll be in the teal color, like I said, spawning in the north of the map. South of the map, we're going to have theonlybaus playing as the French, as the red, in the red color, I should say. And he was the first person to lock his civilization on this map. So, you know, French being a kind of just a good agnostic civilization, they're good on basically any map. But on High Plains in particular, I would say I expect India to be a little bit favored here. What do you think, Beauty?
Well, that depends. Maybe if Conqueror999, as I mentioned about, was going aggressive, maybe taking training posts behind it meanwhile, and try to take the 5 TP stagecoach, which is just huge, just 20 villagers, not idle. So, you will see. Especially India, in regards to taking training posts, it synergizes well, because they do rely heavily on wood. They need to train villagers, so any excessive wood they have, they can just spam into buildings, upgrades, just anything they want. Meanwhile, the French, and especially any other civilization, relies on food most of the times in regards to villager production and economic production. So they mostly ship the wood in order to build the TPs, but meanwhile the Indian player can just... they have a wood trickles as well. They have the big trickle and the small trickle, which is one of the standard build orders to send them both. One in the small trickle in the H1, followed up by the big trickle in the H2 as the first card. It really pumps up your economy. Anyways, the hunts seem fair. I'll check the mines. The Indian players got one mine forward, but I guess it's fine. Anyway, so far, the Conqueror999 spotting this 130 food treasure, which could be really useful. Although, will he go for it? I don't know.
He definitely has it scouted, so he's probably just gonna, you know, kind of go to the outlining of that treasure, just so he knows that the Red Explorer isn't nearby. But theonlybaus, we can see a forward villager. It seems that was just gonna go out to hurt in the hunt. I think that's a good decision.
To hurt.
Yeah, as well, he is gonna get line of sight of that treasure, especially with you know, actually his Explorer is a little bit damaged, so it's gonna be definitely a contention around this 130 food. That thing is so immense. Neither player is going to want to forfeit it to the other player, so we're definitely going to see them try to stay around this area, make sure neither of the the opponent doesn't get it, you know.
On the other side of the note, you can see Conqueror999 scouting this 80 wood treasure, and I don't think theonlybaus has scouted it yet. But if India was able to take this treasure, it would be really nice. Especially the wood picks for India, are really good to pick in the early stages of the game.
Yeah,
they have them age faster too.
But it seems
they're
like
kind of like wood and food at the same time, because as you mentioned in the previous series, they kind of translate into, you can get your villagers off the food from food earlier than normally. So
Conqueror999, he did see that forward villager, so I think the Tomahawk pickup's really smart here as well. He's just going to go mid-map and, keep his explorers parked near that treasure while his stun ability recharges. And with that Tomahawk, he's probably going to put some pressure onto that Coureur de Bois that was previously hurting. It wasn't actually a forward villager. It's not going to try to build a forwards aggressive barracks or anything. I mean, it might, but he doesn't quite know that yet.
I think this villager might be there on the third hunt already, because he thinks I'm probably getting hardcore rushed, so better secure every hunt I can get under my TC before I'm just not able to do so anymore. I think that's pretty smart choice, actually. In regards to Conqueror999 is building an aggro fort, not really that hugely aggressive, maybe, but he has it near the TP line. He can have easily access to those two TPs and possibly the third TP of the only boss has built.
Yeah,
so it's very easy to access. So it's really easy for the Conqueror999 to kind of access this TP and siege it down faster than usual if you want super aggressive. So it's an interesting placement, and I kind of like it.
Yeah, I'd say I like it too. In fact, he can probably use that the aggro fort to shoot down one of the treasures, and then use his explorers to stun that and get 2 sheep. That's a nice little bonus. I don't know if he'll necessarily go with it because it's kind of a macro heavy play, but at the end of the day, that's like a little bit of a it makes the aggro fort kind of like a trade post in that it net you those 2 sheep that generate XP for you.
Yeah, it's like a very, very little fraction of the trade post, I guess. And he nicely finishing this trade post when the trade traveler is just passing by. So he got that nice of XP boost, and he's building TPs early on. So I think he might actually have in mind to take down the TP line for himself. And this aggro is just to be here as a buff. No, I'm not gonna hardcore rush you. I'm just gonna take the TP line instead. So maybe we will see that actually.
Absolutely, I think.
As you mentioned,
I wouldn't put it past Conqueror999 to do a more economic build order, especially you have to look at how much hunt the only boss has in his base. This is going to last him so long that, the contain kind of game plan is just not probably what's optimal for Conqueror999 here. I don't think you can do like a Sepoy rush and then just, kind of keep Sepoys posted around the only boss's base, because, there's just so many resources for the only boss that he can defend for days. So
yeah,
more economic...
maybe the only thing he could have done is to just go consulate rush with the British consulate, like a really heavy rush. But I still think it's kind of holdable if you ship 8 expos and just get musketeers out with a barracks out. Instead, he's going for the standard Sepo rush.
Absolutely.
And let's see if the theonlybaus is able to hold it, and he's definitely going to be able to hold it with these musketeers now.
Yeah, 10 musketeers.
He can use the town center. Yeah, he can use the TC fire and the musketeers in order to kill those sepoys, or even call a minuteman if needed.
As well, the Coureur de Bois are just a force to be reckoned with, especially in musk-on-musk battles. Them having a 40% range resistance and 243 hit points, they can sponge so much damage. But, Conqueror999 getting some good damage on these musketeers, taking down almost 5 of them so far. 5 of them.
I would really like to see. I would like to see the theonlybaus. Oh, these Minutemen coming in. I would have liked to see the theonlybaus put not 5 villagers, but 10 villagers at the town center, so they can 2-shop the sepoys. Exactly. So the Minutemen, I guess it was a bit of an overcommitment over there. If he did put his 10 villagers in the town center, he would have been fine. Since like most of the sepoys, like some fraction of them would just die before the battle even begins. But now the Conqueror999 is adding some Gurkha, which I guess is fine. I would really like him to see if those sepoys at least try to siege this trading post, or maybe take those trading posts for himself. If you look at the shipments, and he's after the sepoy rush, he's going greedier with the big wood trickle, and he's got another shipment on the way, I think. And he's building a consulate, so it's probably the diplomatic intrigue, which is going to be his next shipment.
Yeah, if you take a
There
look
it
at
goes.
the Coureur de Bois of the Only Boss, he converted part of his 700 wit shipment into the amalgamation upgrade. So his villagers, I don't. There is a market for Conqueror999, and he does have all of the Age 1 upgrades, as well as the, or excuse me, all of the Tier 1 upgrades, as well as the second tier upgrade for hunting. But, dude, oh my gosh, these Coureur de Bois are fully upgraded. Besides wood, of course, but most importantly, that coin, his coin gatherer rate is going to be sky high. And I think that's a really smart choice considering how hard he won that engagement that went on in his base from Conqueror999's Sepoy Rush.
Yeah, the thing is now that yes, the French player has held the initial Sepoy rush. Now he's gathering for an age up. I hope this game he will ship the 2 Falconets. I really do hope, because you need to break the aggro fort at some point. You need to get this burden. It's like a thorn in your feet or something I could call it, because it's really big in regards to map control, and it's very annoying. Also, if the aggro fort is down, the military, it's also a military production facility. So it slows down the Conqueror 999, not only denying him the map it controls, but also a military production for some time.
Yeah, so we did see the Only Boss train an additional 5 musketeers in the transition to Fortress Age. I thought maybe he might have been going for a build order where he would like train musketeers, get the veteran upgrade, and then push out with the 2 Falcons, but I don't think he's going to go for exactly that, considering he has 1 barracks, 1 stable. So instead, yeah, he's got a skirmisher in queue, a dragoon, and I would really like to see the 2 Falconet as his first shipment in Fortress Age.
I would like to see that too.
I think this is a very vulnerable time for Conqueror999. He does have the Caravanserai out, so he will be able to train additional Sours, maybe pop out 4 Sours if, the Only Boss does go for the 2 Falconets and the Only Boss does push out of his base. Having those 9 Sours could definitely, if he gets the right position, it could be a crushing victory for Conqueror999. Not going to be, it will still be difficult, it's just, we can look at the military population and kind of see, despite being at an age ahead, the Only Boss has so many more units.
Yeah.
And we're
Well, I
actually,
do not know what. I think he's just deleting his units at this point. Why would he do this? He shipped 8 skirmishers first. Imagine these musketeers, Minutemen, grouped with the 8 skirmishers plus 5 skirmishers and 5 dragoons and the 2 falconets as the first shipment. Now these musketeers with Minutemen are gonna die for free, basically. They are not gonna even kill 1 hussar if Conqueror 999 micros it correctly, and which is he now doing. So he's gonna lose his musketeers, Minutemen, and explorer, basically for free.
yeah, you're right. That was just not good at all. I don't think he kind of anticipated. I think he was trying to get the cheeky raid in, but yeah, not panning out at all. Losing not only like 15 unupgraded musketeers you have to consider, but like still like that was 1,500 resources that could still be really really
Yeah.
useful in guarding these 2 Falconets.
Now Conqueror 999 is aging up. If he did push with those 2 falconets earlier, he would be able to break the aggro at this point, and also he would have put pressure on the Conqueror 999's base itself, which could be really good. Now he's just delayed. He's just delayed of a shipment. And I think Conqueror 999 can still deal with it. He has some units on land. He has a shipment ready. He could maybe ship 2 siege elephants in order to deal with those falconets as a response, and then upgrades his units. And Indian units, especially skirmishers, are better than the unupgraded French skirmishers in A3.
Yeah, Conqueror
Also
999.
considering
Yep, as
also
you said.
considering the fact that the French player has no upgrades for his skirmishers, so he cannot really win this skirmisher dragoon war anymore, unless he outmasses the Indian player. But the Indian player's economy is decent now, so.
The Agrifort being taken down, and now the Only Boss has nothing stopping him from just walking into Conqueror 999's base, especially having seen the fortress age up. He knows this is his time to push out.
Yeah. Okay, he's trying to play it a bit safe. He's sieging the trading post. I think he should have sieged the stable first with the falconets, and maybe with his infantry try to siege the trading post. I think it would be more efficient in regards to spreading out his units. Now he's going for the stable, I think.
Certainly, but
But
it
still,
doesn't end up the fact that he got punished for it. So kind of getting away from a little bit of
if
mismanagement
there's no
there.
units popping out of the stable, so yeah, I guess it doesn't matter. But
Yeah, precisely. But yeah, the
two
first
siege
shipment.
elephants in order to try to counter the falconets. I kind of expected that in a way. Those siege elephants are really good at sniping falconets, so they're just gonna die in one volley.
One of the siege
One
elephants
siege
going
elephant
down,
going down.
but yeah,
But
not
it
without having
doesn't.
completed its job.
They did the job, right? So it's fine. It's not that big of a deal. And now Conqueror999 has managed to hold the initial French push in H3 with the falconets. So I guess he's in an okay position. And right now, what he can do is just try to outmass the French player. He's shipping 8 Gurkhas and a villager. The extra villager you get from the shipments is India with every shipment.
Yeah, it's
But
shaping up really
wow,
nicely for Conqueror.
wow, this actually might be a bit interesting. He shipped 3 cuirassiers and made 5. So this is the cuirassier switch
Oh
coming
my
from the only
gosh.
boss. The
Oh
only anti-cav
no!
really.
Oh no!
What is he doing? Come on, ceasefire
Oh.
coming in. Oh, all right. Ceasefire.
Yeah, I
Wow.
don't think he would have
I
liked to have
expected
been forced
ceasefire
to
with
use that, but
Sepoys and Roomies, but
yeah,
I guess it was a good ceasefire because he didn't really pay attention over there,
we're
and
gonna see some
he would have lost his Gurkha.
heavy
So it
jockeying
was a
here.
good choice.
Oh, but still
And
not the
now,
best positioning for
even
Conqueror999.
yeah, he's fine. He's still fine. Those Sepoys do a lot of damage. The Cuirassier are dying faster than the Sepoys, so that's the thing he has to worry about. And now 5 Dragoons, they're not gonna do anything against Gurkhas. If it was 5 Cuirassiers, then yeah, it would have been better, but the Skirmisher Dragoon war in
Yeah,
H3, I think, come out of the question for the French player. I think he needs Cuirassiers. He needs
absolutely,
something to surprise the Indian player because the economy gap, and it's not gonna work, I think.
absolutely.
1K
That's
Wood
mhm.
coming for the only boss, and he's dropping a second TC. Maybe he tries to catch up with the economy. Meanwhile, the Indian player is shipping the British East India Company, which boosts the HP of Sour, Sepoys, and Gurkha, and the attack, the overall the stats of them by 10%. It's like a Boyar card, but for more units. Not more units actually, because also the operations are being affected.
And so the only boss being very smart, and while he's getting up this second economic production facility in the town center down towards the south of the map, he was trying to distract Conqueror999 with some raids, but Conqueror not falling for it, just evacuating the villagers and going for a dead-on push for the only boss's heart.
This raid has costed him a lot. In fact, this all Dragoon raid, the Conqueror999 is just not falling for it. He's just not moving his units back, but he's just moving straight to his base in order to catch the skirmishers with like 4 hours. And they did quite a lot of damage in a way. Now the battle is taking place, but there's not many gendarmes here. I'm calling out to GG now. There's nothing for him to do.
Yeah, that'll be game 3 going to Conqueror999. I mean, yeah, we do have to consider the only boss did have the sound bug, but Conqueror offered the rehost, and the only boss opted to take it. I do think that was a well played match. There was a mistake with the Falconets, and I think after that was kind of the turning point for Conqueror999. Him having stabilized in H3, he had the veteran tech for Sepoys, for his Gurkha, as well as for his Sours, and yeah, Conqueror did a really nice job
We
stabilizing in
need to
H3.
also need to mention the ceasefire. It was very big in a way. if it didn't happen, he might have lost all of his Gurkha. And if it could actually go the other way around, the ceasefire really did save Conqueror999 in a way. So anyway, interesting game. Interesting game.
Yeah, that was another great match, similar to game one. I really enjoyed that. It was really close. Like you said, without that ceasefire, it would have been game over for Conquer because of that mistake. But being able to course correct with that special ability from the Taj Mahal and taking a clean victory here. So we should mention donations are still appreciated. We had a few earlier from Le Castet, and I Will Spank You, and I want to say thank you so much to you guys as well. These tournaments are community funded. Don't have any corporate sponsors or anything of that sort. ESOCommunity.net does not run any advertisements, so all the money that we get either comes from the YouTube, the Twitch subscriptions. I don't think we actually get paid out for Twitch advertisements. Or just donations, and that's how we fund these events. Of course, tomorrow is going to be the finals between Snow and Kainisi, the grand finals of the Autumn Championship, and that'll be going on at 15 GMT. This is the wrong copy paste. I was trying to copy paste the map pool, but instead I just pasted some stuff. But anyway, game 4 will be on Alaska, and I think game 5 is going to be on Kamchatka. Should it go to that, this will actually be game point for Conqueror999. Should he win this match on Alaska, he'll win the entire series.
Alaska. I like this map.
I like it a lot too. I think India is a very smart pick.
All right, so it's a safe reset, I think. Yeah.
Yep, and it'll be the only boss's opportunity to counterpick, but counterpicking India on Alaska seems like a pretty difficult thing to do.
India on Alaska? I think it's fine.
Well, what does fine mean?
Considering that the Indian water is not so bad at all, and it's energized as well as, again, fishing boats cost wood, and the villagers cost wood as well. It's really easy to get water economy going on with India.
Absolutely, and that's what makes them such a good pick, I think. So in the only boss's Civ pool, I think I've seen him play Sue before, but actually he's gonna lock in Russia, it seems.
Wow, this is interesting.
Yeah, this is a curious matchup for sure.
Most of the times people pick India against Russia as a counterpick, but now Russia is being counterpicked against India, so this is definitely going to be an interesting series. Maybe the only boss has some secret strategy in mind. Let's see.
Yep, we'll be going
also the Russian water, if we take water into consideration, is not so bad at all as well. The blockhouses do a really good job on the coast.
Yeah, especially
and they have good.
Mm-hmm.
And they still have like a decent warship upgrades. So.
Yeah, Russia not having the 3 villager shipment in Age 1 kind of gives them the opportunity to send a flex kind of technology shipment like schooners or advanced dock or what have you. They might also, usually they go for the distributivism shipment, which is a 1.25 wood trickle. But even still, they can kind of skip that and get away with it. It's not the worst thing. It's not very common. I'm kind of just making shit out, making stuff, and making stuff up out my ass. It's not usual that players skip the age 1 shipment, but I guess it's kind of a possibility with Russia that you do that and then ship 2 in the colonial age.
All right. So the Huns, seem. I think they are fine.
Yep. So we see
but the mine.
What do you think about the mines?
I think the only boss has a very forward mine, almost in the middle of the map. His second mine, or maybe you could consider this a second mine. But if you look at this,
there's a massive 110 wood treasure for Conqueror999 right here. That's going to be so big for him to pick up, and he's going to take that up easily. Looking at the hunts, both players get roughly one safe hunt at the very least, and then one that kind of needs to be brought in these moose. You can see it for both players. So I think the map is perfectly fine, and there's no need to rehost it.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Meanwhile, when Conqueror999 has picked up the 110 wood treasure, the only boss is now picking up the 150 XP treasure, which is a really nice treasure overall. If you can see at the only boss deck, he doesn't really have a deck for a water boom play. But he has 2 caravels in H2, so maybe he expects the Conqueror999 to go on water in regards to fishing boom. And he maybe wants to caravel rush, make 1 caravel ship 2, or maybe make 2 caravels as you feel like, and then just rush into the Indian fishing economy, which is a common way of dealing with it. But
yeah, that's precisely what I was going to say, is that he's probably not looking to commit to water fully himself. Instead, just has that 2 caravels to go for, trying to integrate those 2 caravels into his build order and just push Conqueror999 out at a time that's best for the only boss to do so.
And if you see Conqueror999, he's got a pretty decent, well, he doesn't have the fishing upgrades, but he has the advanced dock. He has the boat upgrades, improved warships and European cannons, but he doesn't have any fishing upgrades. So if he really wants to come in heavy on water, it's not going to bring him that much as you can get with these cards, which is interesting. He shipped the dock card as his first shipment. So I guess he wants to go on water, but I guess not so much. We will see.
I definitely think he's going to commit to the water gameplay, and we're going to see a very defensive aggro come out for him as well. I do like this. Should the only boss try to go for an aggressive build order himself, I just don't know that it'll pan out against an India player that has the aggro, that has the TC, that has the Minutemen, the Irregulars, that has the Ottoman consulate with their Minutemen. There's just so many defensive utility options for India that it just makes playing aggressive as Russia really difficult.
While Conqueror999 is queuing a fishing boat and he has a dock, so he's definitely going to train some fishing boats meanwhile behind this aging up. I would maybe like to see, if he commits to water, well, maybe I would like to see a defensive wall, at least, like from the trees to this point. He's the best 3D player, so he definitely knows how to wall. So maybe we could see some sort of defensive walls, which could be actually nice in order to delay Russia and train Gurkha behind the aggro fort, because Russian units cannot really outrange the Gurkhas or any kind of skirmisher type unit that much. So it could be nice to see.
Yeah, the Gurkhas are.
Although we still need to keep in mind that if Conqueror999 commits like heavily in regards to fishing boats on water, the only boss can ship 2 caravels. If he catches Conqueror999 off guard and he has only 1 dock, he maybe just loses water. Meanwhile, the only boss is dropping an aggressive blockhouse. So yeah, we have it. Aggressive Russia against defensive India with a dock.
I don't think it's necessarily you can quite call the Russia player aggressive yet. I think this blockhouse would go mid-map, basically whatever. Well, that's not fair to say. The India player could go for an aggressive aggro, and then of course the Russia player kind of has to do a defensive blockhouse. But I think given he knows that there isn't an aggro mid map, that this blockhouse is always going to go forward from the Russia player, even if he's not going to like commit to a super aggressive build like shipping 5 Cossacks first. Maybe he goes like 700 wood in the back, then 2 caravels, builds some caravels of his own, and pressures the India player that way, and then plays it from there. It's not, my prediction isn't totally accurate. It may be inaccurate, but I think this forward blockhouse just provides him the most options rather than something like, say, right here, or maybe not even building a blockhouse at all and like committing to water early, which we kind of have established he won't do given the cards in the Only Boss's deck.
Yeah, it would be weird if Russia went heavily on water without the water deck, so I guess this was kind of expected. He doesn't really necessarily need to ship 5 Cossacks. If he scouts the dock, he could ship 700 wood, as you mentioned before, build a dock over here, or maybe even sneak a dock over here, ship 2 caravels, like here in range, train one, and just be really aggressive on this dock. Try to deny the investments that Conquerer999 has been putting out into this fishing economy.
Well, that's certainly a possibility later in the match. What the Only Boss is actually opting to do in the early stage of Colonial is he did send the 5 Cossack first, built 10 Strelets, but his pressure so far hasn't been very effective, almost in full losing one of the Cossacks, taking some damage on all of his other units due to the aggro fort fire. And that aggression not really working out for him. He does have 20 Strelets on the field compared to I think it's 5 or 6 Gurkhas from the Indian player.
Yeah. He can definitely defend this 5 Cossack 20 Strelet. So because he has these Gurkhas, he has the monks, he has 2 Sepoys, he can call Minutemen, he has Ottoman Consulate, he can also call Ottoman Consulate Minutemen. So why not? He can definitely defend this. I think the Only Boss has realized it and just went back.
Yeah, precisely. I think the Only Boss is going to have to fall back on some more economic decisions if we can actually see a 2 stable build order coming out from him. So I think 700 coin is probably going to be the next shipment for the Only Boss. And with that, he's going to try to go for a very heavy Cossack timing push.
Yeah. He might just try to go heavily on Cossacks and catch Conqueror999 off guard before he gets too many Zambaraks.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what we might see. There's the 700 coin. So he's going to have at least 10 Cossacks pop out of these stables very soon. And then after that, I think his next shipment probably would be maybe 13 Strelets or 4 Cossacks just to bolster his mass as much as possible when he eventually goes in for the timing push.
Yeah, he's trying to poke right now, but he's taking some shots from the aggro unnecessarily as the result. He's forcing out some little bit of idle time, but in the end, he's still losing some units and HP on them, so I don't think it really pays off for itself to poke into aggro. He either needs to push or just stay back and mass units. Meanwhile, Conqueror999 is adding Zambaraks in response to the Cossacks. I don't really think he knows about the 2 stables, but I guess it's just like the way the Indian player can feel it, that Russian player is probably going to Cossack Strelay, and 600 coin. This might be actually a pretty good timing in a way.
Yes, if you look certainly. At it. If a Conqueror999 is choosing to commit to the age up, he's just not going to have, this is actually like one of the reasons he lost in the round of 32 of the Autumn Championship. He played an India Mir on Hudson Bay against Tabin, and Tabin committed to an age 2 game plan. While Conqueror999 was aging up, Tabin was able to crush everything in Conqueror999's base, and from that point forward, there was just no options for Dick or Conqueror. And yeah, we might see a similar thing with in this match. It doesn't seem so. Actually, we can see in the units queued. There's still some Gurkha, there's still some Zambarak, so I think the 600 coin very smartly was just being invested into units.
Sapo is coming out for a raid, maybe? I don't know if he did really scout the 2 stables, and now there's the engagement going on. But he didn't really commit to it yet. He's maybe trying to group with the Cossacks. I think he should have... Hard to say. The Minutemen and the Monks and the Emperor behind maybe could have cleaned it up even, I don't know. He's definitely trying to play it safe as possible, which is understandable, especially if this is a match point for Conqueror999. Meanwhile, the Hussars from the Ottoman Consulate are coming in. They will do a good body block.
Conqueror is in a bit of a risky situation. I don't think that he necessarily has to push out right now. Given he's used the 2 Sepoys to scout the coast of the only boss, he knows that there aren't any docks for the red player. You know, he's kind of safe on the sea. He does have to still worry about 2 caravels, but even still, it's not that big. Even if he loses a boat or 2, it's not going to swing the economies vastly out of his favor. So yeah, I think Conqueror, smartly just going back, just going to continue to mass, maybe even age up. I think if we look at the only boss's distribution, he's already sent 700 coin. Take a look at his deck. There is still 600 coin shipment still available.
He has 2 Strelets and 2 Cossacks in queues, so the 2 Cossacks could be explained from the 2 stables. He maybe wants to get batch of 10 Cossacks and 10 Streltsies and then try to push out for the final push. Meanwhile, I think Conqueror999 has scouted the stable Cossack. He's ending another stable himself. He shipped Camo Attack. The next card's probably gonna be the Desert Terror, which gives multiplayer, and then these Zamburaks are gonna do wonders on these Cossack. They're gonna melt them. They're gonna be better than H3 Dragoons, basically, in a matter of damage per second, not in the matter of HP.
And I
but
think
if they stay behind expected, they will just melt these Cossacks.
Oh, here it comes. Here's the big engagement.
Yeah.
Yeah, these Gurkhas are going to continue to need to go back. I don't think it's that important that they kite, given they don't have any multipliers against any of the... Oh my goodness, those stomps!
Yeah.
Oh wow, and the Cossacks having to spend so much time focusing on killing these monks from the Indian player. So many of these Cossacks have been picked off already. Conqueror is a bit out of position, but still, the only boss has lost so many units. If you look at the military population...
Look at these monks just doing the smash, the trample damage on the Streltsy, and now most of these Streltsys are just low HP. This is actually insane. And now Conqueror999 is bringing his swords, and this is GG. There's nothing the Russian player can do to come back, considering the Conqueror999 has water economy, and he has an army.
That's going to be good game, well played, and Conqueror999 is going to be our winner here. He's going to win this series 3-1 and move on to the semi-finals of the Autumn 2018 Second Chance Tournament, going to play against Chusik for that shot at the finals. I think the only boss, you know, like, played really well in those first 3 games, and I still think he played well in this match. Did about as good as you can expect Russia to in this matchup. It just not being a favorable one. I don't think it was the right pick for him. Again, it was really a hard decision for what he wanted to counterpick India with on Alaska. You can see, you know, there was just so many options for what Conqueror999 could do. It was just really hard for the only boss to go with a strategy that would eventually break Conqueror. I think he could have maybe had that last engagement a little bit better, but even still, you know, you have to give him credit where it's due. He did really well in this tournament so far, really well in the first 3 games. And I think he's kind of established a name for himself here.
Yeah, he's definitely one of the favorites to win the current Second Chance Tournament, definitely. He's a very good player overall, even like on the normal stage. So, like, he's definitely a big favorite. Also, we have players like I Am Turk, Jerry Muno, and Chusik. I think they're going to be decent opponents. He's going to play against Chusik, and then if he wins, he's going to play the finals, either versus Jerry Muno or I Am Turk. Either way, it's going to be very interesting, and both of these players play good.